You're listening to theoutdoorstation.co.uk. It's a podcast. It's a magazine. No, it's a podzine.
Hello and welcome to the Outdoors Station Podzine, the audio magazine show for avid outdoors podcast listeners. We've been rather tardy of late, and we must apologise. We've been very busy doing a variety of other things and not had many podcasts, audio podcasts, come out. Well, we've actually been working on some video material, which is now up on the Outdoors Station website, and also some information pages so that bloggers or website owners or retailers even, or retailers, can incorporate any of the podcasts within their website, and there's a full information section on how to do that. It's not really particularly complicated. It's just a case of copying and pasting some HTML into your website, and you too can have a play button, and people can listen straight away to the podcast or watch the movie as they're still on your site. So hopefully we're adding a little bit of media colour to the internet. Right, well, we've been fairly busy, as I say, and we want to catch up now and talk to a whole variety of people. We've got some great programs coming over the next few months, which will hopefully keep people entertained. And today we've spoken to one of our favourite UK long-distance walkers, Steve Perry. And now he's about to set off and tackle a series of UK challenges that would give even the worst insomniac nightmares. And it's pretty tough going. But once again, Steve, in his own style, is going to explain to us exactly what is involved.
The challenge is to do 10 of Britain's hardest mountain challenges. The well-known ones that people go and do themselves. People set themselves a challenge of doing one of these maybe on a Saturday or Sunday, something like that. But my plan is to do 10 of them over a 10-day period.
Okay, now is that one a day?
On the whole, it'll be one a day. But some of them, like for instance when I get to the Lakeland 4, it will be on a separate day, but that one I'll have to set off very early in the morning, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. But on the whole, it will be one a day. Also, the last one, Cooling Ridge. To start the ridge, I'll have to climb up onto the end of the ridge the night before I set off, which is the standard ridge traverse. That's what you do. You go up there and you bivvy on the end of it. So the day that I do the Cairngorm 4000ers, which is the 9th day, I'll also drive to the Isle of Skye and climb up onto the end of the ridge on the same day. So, yeah, some of them blend into each other, but on the whole, they're all on separate days.
So 10 consecutive days. Now, you hopefully you've found yourself a driver now, so that you just need to concentrate on the walking and a bit of sleep, I guess.
Yeah, there's a guy who's done the challenge a couple of times called Don Gray, who sent me an email who's offering to drive for me. I haven't heard back from him yet, but hopefully he's going to be the man to give us a lift, and like you say, that's left me now just concentrating on where he's going to pick me up, where he's going to drop me off, things like that, and sorting the routes out, sorting the maps out, and just concentrating on gear and food and things like that.
Well, you're off soon. You're planning to leave on the 20th of July, and so, I mean, all being well, if the weather can cheer up a bit, it should be a fairly good run of weather for you.
I hope so. I mean, just look at what we've had lately. It's been terrible, hasn't it? And to be honest, I've been trying to get on the internet and look at some long-term forecasts, and there's nothing that's saying things are going to get much better at the moment. But the good thing is I've been training in the bad weather, because that's all we've had. So in some respects, I'll be used to it a little bit, but I think it'll get pretty tough if it's 10 days of doing big challenges in lashing rain. You know, I won't be looking forward to that. Let's hope we get something. Yeah,
I was going to ask you about your training, because I guess with something like this, I mean, you're climbing what sort of 3, 4, 5,000 foot at a time in a day. Well, how do you prepare yourself, your body, for something like that?
Well, what I started off doing was I was getting to the weekend. I mean, obviously, like everyone else, I've got a full-time job, so I can only go out at the weekends. But what I've been doing is on the Saturday, for quite a few weeks, I was going out and doing a 30 to 40 mile hike, which usually involved Sarah, my girlfriend's dad, driving me 30 or 40 miles from Todd, and me just walking back home from Todmorden where I live. I mean, I think after a while I was hoping that I weren't going to get back, but that's what he did. He'd go and drop me off somewhere on the Pennine Way, maybe Snake Pass or Malham, to name but a couple of places, and I would just walk home in a day with the dog. And what I was doing on those days was I was walking all the uphill sections and I was running the downhill sections just to get my fitness up a bit. And then just over the past few weeks, well, maybe the past 2 weeks or so, I've been upping that to doing it on the Sunday as well. So I'm getting my body used to doing a long day and then doing exactly the same thing again the day after. So yeah, I've had plenty of big days out, and I've been enjoying it really. You know, I'm actually at this point now. I'm looking forward to doing the 10 on the trot. Doing my body parts with it.
Yeah. I mean, I presume that you're going sort of very minimalist as regards to sort of gear you're taking with you and your clothing and so on to keep the weight down and just keep your freedom of movement to its maximum.
Well, that's the good thing with having a driver and having a car or a van or whatever that's going to be a base. I'm going to take plenty of different types of kit for all seasons really, and then just weigh up what the weather's going to do and then just pick out of the kit what I want to take and try and keep it as light as possible. And the other thing is, on some of the challenges, I don't think it's going to happen on all of them. Like the Mamos, you couldn't do this, but say, for instance, on the Yorkshire Three Peaks, I can get Don, the driver, to meet me at certain places with food, which means I wouldn't have to carry the food as well. And also, I could even take a gamble and not take quite as much water as well, which is, as you know, is quite heavy. And get him to meet me at certain places and pick food up and water up so I can travel really light. I mean, all I'll be carrying then is things like a waterproof jacket and stuff like that, you know, just to get it as light as possible, really.
Well, I gather you've had some support from sponsors as usual, but in particular from Innovate this year.
Yeah, Innovate. I've just been in touch with those over the past week or so, and hopefully I'm going to be trying one of the new packs with the hydration system in the hip belt, which sounds pretty nifty. I mean, it's meant to be good in the sense that you've got the weight of the water directly over your legs on your hips, which I think, I mean, I haven't tried it, so I don't know yet. Hopefully I'll get one next week, but I think it's meant to make a difference. I'm really looking forward to trying it. But I got in touch with Innovate and asked them if they would sponsor me after I used the Terox out in Africa on the Ugandan peak Margarita, and I mean, it was just a revelation to me. I mean, to be honest, I was one of the people who disliked the idea of using trail shoes, and I thought I'd be wearing boots forever, but I mean, people who are using boots and were in the same frame of mind as me where they didn't want to use trail shoes, it's one of those, try it and just stick with it, and eventually you'll see the light. It is the way to go, to be honest.
It certainly makes a difference, doesn't it? I mean, as you know, I've made the step myself this year, and going back to actually putting boots on, all of a sudden you do feel very constrained with your feet in the way that your foot lands on rolling ground. That's right, yeah. And I mean, it's the weight of it, isn't it? The weight of a boot as opposed to the weight of a trail shoe. You know, I used to have a boots on and I'd have a thick sock and a thin sock inside it. I mean, now I'm just wearing a trail shoe, sometimes with just a thin sock. And also, the weight of when you get a leather boot and it's gets wet. I mean, I know it's got a Gore-Tex lining and your feet don't actually get wet, but the weight of that wet boot, as opposed to a trail shoe that's squeezing the water out, is quite a difference, and you do feel it considerably. Yeah, I know. Walking with you last year in the challenge, you were certainly striding ahead with wearing boots. So you must be going like a whippet with Terox on.
Oh yeah, I've been loving it, and also it's better for if you're doing the sort of thing that I have, which is where you're walking the uphills and running the downhills. You've got the footwear that covers both that type of training. You know, I mean, because they are predominantly a running shoe anyway that people go walking in.
Okay, well, I mean, the one thing we haven't touched on is the actual list of the challenges, the actual hills that you're going to be covering. So do you want to run us through the list?
The first one is the Welsh 3000ers, which I'll do this on Friday the 20th of July, that's the first day. So I'll be heading into Snowdonia on the Thursday night, and I'll probably set off on that not long after midnight, really. See, the challenges through the 10 days, I mean, in my mind, it's the beginning of it that's going to be the toughest. I've got the Welsh 3000ers, and then, which hopefully I can finish that by just before tea time, hopefully, and then drive over to the Peak District for the Derwent Watershed, which is another long one. It's 39 miles. And then the day that I finish the Derwent Watershed, I've then got to drive to the Lake District, and I'm going to have to get as much sleep in as possible on that drive, because when I get to the Lake District at 2 o'clock in the morning on the third day, I'm going to be setting off on the longest challenge, which is the Lakeland 4, which is 48 miles. And I think that's going to be the crux, is getting through that 48 miler on the third day. I mean, I was thinking of possibly doing the Yorkshire Three Peaks after the Derwent Watershed, which is only 23 miles, but again, I've still got that 48 miler to do, and then I would have a longer one after. I mean, there was a lot of mixing and matching on the challenges, so in the end I thought I'll do the Lakeland 4 on the third day, and then do the Yorkshire Three Peaks as a rest day, which is 23 miles and 4,600 feet of ascent. That's my rest day.
And after that, where'd you go to Scotland?
After that, I'm still in that sort of area. I'm North York's Moors to do the lightweight walk, which I'm surprised, living in Yorkshire, I've never actually done that challenge before. But it's a linear walk, and it's a 39 miler. It's quite a long walk, and I think it's one of the oldest challenges as well. So that one's going to be new to me. I'm actually, next weekend, I'm going to go and have a bash at that one just to recce it and see what it's like. And then the night I finish that will be the drive to Glencoe then, where I'm doing the first challenge in Glencoe. It's another one that's quite an old challenge. It's one called Naismith's Walk. Now, originally, Naismith's Walk was a walk out of Glencoe over Biddy and Nambian and Skur Screamac. And then what you did then was you did both the sets of Buchals on Rannoch Moor. You did Buchal-Etted Beg and Buchal-Etted Moor. Now, that sounded like a good walk to me, and I was going to do that, but I decided to turn it into a horseshoe. And instead of doing Buchal-Etted Beg, I'll do Buchal-Etted Moor and then cross over the A82 and go back into Glencoe via the Anakeegat Ridge, which just makes it a nice round horseshoe, really. And the Anakeegat will be quite exciting as well. I haven't done that ridge for quite a while. It's got some good scrambling on it. And then I'm in the same area again the day after, just round the corner in Kinlochleven. I'm going to do the Mamors, which are 10 Munros that divide Kinlochleven and Glen Nevis. It's just quite a big mountain range, and a really good challenge actually to do the 10 of those. I have done the 10 of those in one day in the past, actually on my winter Munro round, and I remember it being a really tough day, so I fancy doing that one again. And then landing in Glen Nevis, I'll be in the perfect spot for my next challenge, which is Ben Nevis, the Annex, which is Annoch Moor, Corries, and finishing on Staban, and then walk out to Speen Bridge. That's 22 miles, and I think it's nearly 10,000 feet, that 9,000 and odd feet of ascent. And then I'll get picked up at Speen Bridge by a driver, and on our way to the Cairngorms to do the Cairngorm 4000ers, which is quite a well-known walk in that area, which is Cairngorm, Ben MacDoughy, Brearick, Cairn Tool, and all those around the Larry Grew there. That's 21 miles and 7,700 feet of ascent, and then it's off to Skye for the big one, the Coolin Ridge, which is probably the shortest challenge by a mile, 7.5 miles, but to be honest, I think that could be the toughest up there with the Lakeland 4. That's 7.5 miles and 10,000 feet in a very short distance. Plenty of ups and downs on that.
You've done quite a lot of challenges now, and of a whole range of natures. When you sort of approach a project like this, what's the thing that gives you the biggest problems?
I think the hardest thing for me personally is finding the time to actually do it with things like work, and obviously I've got a family and I've got to kind of mix and match my training, spending time doing the training for it. I mean, a challenge like this takes a lot of training. It's not something that you can just turn up in Wales and then go, right, I'm going to do these 10 challenges starting here. So I've got to find the time for the training as well as finding time to see my missus and my kids and stuff like that, and also sacrifice holidays at work, which I think Sarah, my girlfriend, would much rather spend on holiday up in Scotland or something like that. So I've got to use those holidays, and it's all a time thing. You've got to keep a lot of people happy and find the time to do it, and obviously pick dates that give you enough time to train. There's quite a lot of work goes into it, a lot of work that you wouldn't really think.
What's your biggest disappointment when you're trying to get sponsorship with people?
What, sponsorship as in raising funds for the charity, or sponsorship as in gear and things like that?
Oh, I was thinking sponsorship as in gear and, trying to get media coverage and that sort of thing.
Well, the thing you've got to do, as far as that's concerned, is you've got to do a challenge that excites people, especially when it comes to newspapers wanting to do stories on it and things like that. I mean, unfortunately nowadays, just going to climbing up Scarfell Pike ain't going to get you in the newspaper. You've got to do something that excites the press and things like that. It will give you coverage, and it's the coverage that helps you raise the money. If you don't get any press coverage or things like podcasts and what have you, you're not going to raise any money. So you've got to do something that really grasps people by the throat, I think.
And what sort of response have you had so far? Because I know obviously we're talking, and you've been in TGO. Have you been getting some coverage elsewhere as well?
To be honest, I haven't really sent the press release out to the press in the north of England yet. It's what I'm going to do over the next week or so. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks I'll get some coverage, and I've got a few contacts now in press, and I've got a few contacts at the local TV and things like that. So hopefully the web address will get banded around, and some people will go on the site and hopefully make a donation to Marie Curie.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the charity you're raising it for now. Is this different to the previous challenges you've done?
The charity, well, it's similar related. I mean, I've tended to not just stick to the same charity all the time. I mean, I've raised quite a bit of money for cancer research, but I've also, Marie Curie, I'm raising cash for now, I've raised money for them in the past as well. I mean, I did a few marathons in the past that I've raised money for those. So I haven't, I mean, they are predominantly cancer-related charities, but it's just a different one this time. It's Marie Curie, who once again do a really good job, and deserve people to give money towards them. I think the Red Nose one that we did for the Africa trip was the only charity I've ever raised money for outside the cancer charities.
You've had, I think you've had company on everything I've spoken to you about that you have done in the past. Certainly, obviously, with the Africa one as well. You've gone with people, or at least had some sort of moral support. Are you on your own for this one completely, or have you got people keeping you a bit of moral support as you're doing it?
Well, originally I was doing it with Andrew Wilkinson, who came out to Africa with us, but I think he's had a lot of things on since he got back, and so I'm now doing it on my own. But I think there will be some people joining me on the odd challenge. I know Lorraine is definitely doing the Sky Ridge with me, which will be a help as far as if we're taking some bivvy gear up, and we're going to have a rope and things like that. So that won't be the lightweight challenge that most people think of. We will be carrying climbing gear and things like that, so she'll be on that. For the other challenges, to be honest, I think I'll be doing pretty much most of them on my own, unless Don the driver wants to come and meet me. Like, for instance, if he parks a car at the end of a challenge, he can set off walking towards me and walk back out of me if he wants. We'll just see. We'll see how it goes and play it by ear.
So let's talk about gear for a second, because you've mentioned it a couple of times there, and I'm still sort of trying to visualise if you're going to be in sort of like full walking gear or basically a pair of shorts and a wind shirt. Can you just run through what you're going to be looking like when you hit the hills so we can visualise it?
Well, I won't be doing it in shorts unless the weather's really good. I mean, if the weather was to be like it is now, for instance, I'll probably go with some Rab pants and a vaporised fleece, and if it's raining, I'm going to wear a Rab Drillium jacket, which is the lightweight event jacket that they do, and I'll wear some event waterproof pants as well. I'll have I'm going with the Flyrock Innovates and Terox as well. I'm going to swap and change between those and see how they go. Just mixing and matching those. I might also be trying the new Gore-Tex ones, the GTX, which I think they've got a few samples banding around at Innovate, so hopefully I may get a pair of those to try. So that'll be my footwear. I'll have the Innovate pack, the one with the hydration system on the hip, and really in the pack all I'll be carrying is a head torch for emergency, which is a new Petzl E-Light, the ultra lightweight one, and just like if I haven't got my waterproofs on, I'll just have my waterproofs in there. I'll have a map case, compass, possibly some gloves depending on how the weather's looking, or maybe not, and that's about it really.
I suppose, I mean, you'd be generating a lot of heat because you'd be moving pretty fast, so I'm guessing that you're not carrying much in the way of insulation. Your intention is to get up there and get down as fast as possible. That's
it, yeah. I mean, even if I do the running, I'll still be running with the Pacer poles. I've got myself quite a good running system on the downhills with the Pacer poles as well. I've got some new carbon fibre ones of those, which are brilliant.
So let's give your sponsors a bit of a shout then. So let's run through who's supporting you.
I've got Smart Wolf on my base layers. I've got Rab for the mid layers and the waterproofs. Terranova have kindly given us some super light Voyager tents to sleep in at night when we're on the campsites for me and Don, and give us one of those each. I've got Outdoor Designs sponsoring us with a map case and things like that. Innovate. I've got some Superfeet insoles, and we'll be eating Wayfarer meals at night as usual. I've got a Life is Good top as well, which is if the weather's a bit warmer, and if I need some gloves and a hat, I'll be using extremities. Brilliant,
excellent. Well, Steve, it's going to sound like a sort of good one. If we can, we'd like to keep in contact with you every day or so while you're on the hills. We'll do a bit of recording and put a piece together of the actual challenge, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, if I can keep myself awake at night, or when we're driving to the next one, I'll have an attitude on the phone and tell you how knackered I am.
Yeah, well, that'd be always enjoyable to listen to that. Right, let's get the sponsorship for the Marie Curie Cancer Cure sorted now. Where can people make a donation?
At the moment, I'm having a website built, which should hopefully be online in the next couple of days. I mean, it was meant to be online a week ago, but it's a favour from a friend, so it's taken a bit longer. But it's www. and it's 10 by 10, so that's the number 10 x number 10 challenge.co.uk. And in the meantime, if that's not up and running, if people want to donate to Marie Curie, they can go to my charity site, which is www.justgiving.com/10 by 10 challenge.
Excellent. Well, we can obviously encourage people to do that if they can, and we'll all be listening and staying tuned to wishing you the best for the challenge and seeing how you get on, because certainly when we last spoke and you did the Africa challenge, I think you were quite surprised at the speed that you did the first couple of mountains, weren't you?
Yeah, well, yeah. So hopefully I can get that sort of fitness back for this one.
What about your state of mind when you do something like this? Do you sort of fire yourself up, or do you sort of just approach it and say, okay, we'll take each day as it comes?
It's one of those, take each day as it comes. I mean, I'm always very nervous before the challenge. I mean, I'm really nervous for this one because, I mean, it is going to be tough. But it's such a good feeling when you actually get on it and you think, bloody hell, it's about time I can get here and actually do it now, you know. It's just the build-up that I don't like. Once I'm actually on the hills and firing along and things like that, I love that time. You know, that's what all the work's been for. So
Brilliant.
hopefully we'll get on the hill and make a success of this one. We'll just have to see.
Brilliant. Well, Steve, always a pleasure to talk to you. We wish you all the best, naturally, and obviously we'll keep in touch with you as you go along, and certainly speak to you at the end anyway.
Brilliant. And thanks to everyone who's listened to the podcasts on your site that I've done in the past. You know.
Grand. Okay, mate. Have a good trip.
Cheers, Bob.
So that's Steve. We wish him all the best obviously on his travels, and it'd be great if we can catch up with him as he's actually doing it, so we can share the experience with him, which I think will be pretty grueling after the first few days. That website again is www.10challenge.co.uk, which when you read it, when it's written down, is 10by10challenge.co.uk. Anyway, that's it from the Podzine tonight. We will be bringing you many more programmes over the next few weeks, as I say, so make sure you stay tuned. We also do the video feed, don't forget, so if you haven't got the video feed into your system, you want to download some of the videos that we've been doing, then go along to theoutdoorstation.co.uk and pick up the video feed URL there and drop that into your iTunes, and you'll have both the audio feed and the video feed. So until next time, it's bye from us, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
This independent programme is produced and hosted by theoutdoorstation.co.uk.